Brother Red Pill representing Know the Ledge, one half of the Twin Pillars. I am here rocking with Crumb TV.
You are watching Crumb TV.
You can find me on Crumb TV.
You can catch me on Crumb TV.
This is Chief Kalinago here at Crumb TV.
I am Joy Allen of the Memoirs of a Karmic Dynasty in the Crumb TV studio.
Honored to be on your program, brother.
Peace. Peace.
Crumb TV.
What up, family? How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Peace.
Peace and blessings. Welcome to Crumb TV, Culture Chronicles, Each Nine Teach Nine, and every other name that a show can have. You know what I mean? Brought to you by all these fine people. Crumb TV, Soul Trust Records, Each Nine Teach Nine, Zulu Union, Solar Flare, Natives, and Ting. Of course, my man's here. All right. So we're continuing the book reading today. We're on part 3. My man wrote a book. What is it called?
The book is called Offstage,
All
the
right.
culture of hip hop before the elements.
Yes. So we're on part 3 of that book reading. I'm Nova Kane. This is Phatz.
Peace.
You know, we'd love to thank Crumb for having us again for another installment of this. We're rounding it up. So if you can get in on this, please do. Like I said, man, I know a book reading might sound, boring, but when you sit there and listen to the chronicles of where hip-hop came from, man, it makes you be proud, especially if you a hip-hopper, which I know most of you guys are.
Yeah,
so we're glad to have you.
No doubt. But then again, just this is information that is very necessary, for our children to have for real.
Yes.
That's really, at the end of the day, that's really what this is really for. A lot of adults, a lot of us are really just as a society, as black people, are confused really about the true science and essence of hip hop and what it is. And so this information is near and dear to us, and we really feel like it's something that can really change our situation as a people for the better. Hip hop is the ultimate culture and vehicle that should be leading us into the 21st century.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so once we finish building on, may not seem like that much because everybody keep looking at it as just a genre of music, but it's way bigger. It's way bigger than hip hop, yo. So.
With that, before we get to reading and pouring our libations to open this up, let's acknowledge our first responders. So first of all, we've got Shaq Raking Black. How you doing,
God.
brother?
Peace to the gods and the earths.
Peace to the gods and the earths.
Yeah, I'm Schniz.
Next, we got Vincent Branch. How you doing? This is got
fam.
number 2. Got number 2.
All right.
Thank you. Blessings to you.
All right.
Underground Nomad King. Peace. Great book so far. Good. That means you've been following.
Appreciate that.
And you know me, I like to throw in a 4th one. You know what I mean? Because the Holy Trinity is just dudes, but I'm a girl. So how about the quadity?
Yes.
Let's get Sister Elisa Plessy. How you doing? Peace family.
Peace family.
All right. So it's good to have y'all. Before we get started, and I gotta jump down here because this is usually the first responder. K Croft is 99. I rocks with you. Peace. I like you, and it's good to have you here. All right.
What up, John Johnson? Love, light, and peace, fam.
And
See
peace
you too.
Peace to all that's up here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Already. So we got fam. We got young fam. All right. What's up, Isaiah?
All right. That's Zulu Union right there, y'all. Y'all
right.
stay tuned, man. That's a
Union.
young black leader coming up, y'all. Straight up and down, man.
Look at this picture. You ain't got no guns, bro. Anyway, you ain't got no guns, fam. All right. So we see people coming in. So we can say peace all day. So we're going to pick up on this third part of the reading. But before we do that, we want to pour a little bit of libations. Anybody that died in your family, anybody that you love and respect, any ancestor that you want to call out in your house, in your car, wherever you're at.
And bring them into the event, you know what I mean? Come on, let's bring the ancestors in.
Let's bring the ancestors in.
They waiting.
Yes,
they are.
You know what I mean? If you invite them in, they'll invite you. Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we go. Let's call these names out.
Right. Tupac.
Ashe. Biggie. Ashe. Big L.
Ashe.
James Brown.
Ashe.
Sean Price.
Ashe.
Geronimo Pratt.
Ashe.
Nina Simone.
Ashe.
Althea Gibson.
Ashe.
Bob Marley.
Ashe.
Tenor Saw.
Ashe.
Amy Ashwood Garvey.
Ashe.
Mitty Maud Lena Gordon.
Ashe.
Fred Hampton.
Ashe.
Sunshine.
Ashe.
And Tukey Williams.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe. All right. So, good. Now we can get this started correctly. We can set it off the way we're supposed to. You know what I mean?
In the building. Let's get it going.
So, before we get going, I just want to say, first of all, before you leave, if you got to leave, comment, like, and share, please. It just takes a press of a button. Your hot finger hits the screen and sends the message to the computer, okay? All right, so make sure you do that. Offstage is a labor of love about the cultural movement of hip-hop as a movement first and then the elements second, okay? So you're learning, when you're learning the culture of hip-hop and you're learning the origins of hip-hop, you're learning about the civil rights movement. You're learning about white flight. You're learning about gentrification. You're learning about gang violence, the mafia. You're learning about the mob, the heroin addicts. You're learning about the Panther movement. Everything you acupuncture.
Yeah,
name it.
The crooked police. The crooked
police. The burning buildings. So if you're at home and you're feeling like, man, these are some times we're in. Oh my God, I'm feeling so depressed. Don't be. You do not have to feel depressed. What you can do is create a whole movement around your depression and lift you up out of it and propel you and your children forward into a legacy of prosperity. Amen.
The universe calls for it. You know what I mean? I mean, this is like hip hop is a metaphysical movement based on something that had to happen and things that had to change in the physical.
Come on.
You know what I mean? We ain't gonna.
But we're not gonna get too deep. All right. So far, let me pull the book up. Let me show you where we're at, and then we're gonna pick up where we're at.
All right.
Okay. All right. So, Booyaka. Let me bring this over here now, like sir. So, this is where we're gonna start at, but just to give you kind of a quick overview of where we've been a little bit for those who haven't been here. So of course we, had to preface the reason for the book, you know what I'm saying? Kind of where the spirit of the book. Hip hop historian disclaimer just to make sure niggas ain't in their feelings about some of this information.
Right, and then just the challenges of the modern day hip hop historian trying to figure this information out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just to let y'all know, it's an ongoing process,
Yeah.
and we're all in this together. So
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, look at that. How do we do that there? Hold up. Technical difficulties here. Okay. So I'm gonna keep this here. I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna bring this over here like this. I think that'll work. All right.
We in there now.
Now I'm gonna hit share screen. Hold up. I'm gonna click up on this, y'all. Now we talking. Okay, don't panic. That's how you gotta do that. All right. Now. So anyway, back to the lecture at hand. All right. So the Old Testament. So Phatz has broken up the history of hip hop into testaments, like the Bible, and it's showing you the foundational essence before Jesus shows up. The foundational essence of hip hop before it actually was called anything. Okay, so that's how I would define the Old Testament. All right. So fighting the power. We went through that. Just talking about kind of the climate of New York at the time to kind of set the mood of why hip hop actually got invented here. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful book, and I think so. We defined culture. We talked about the adverse forces. Oh my God, the evil shaitan Luciferian niggerdom. The reason for the season. What's that about?
Well, the reason for the season is just an intro into why did hip hop happen in the first place. A lot of people think that people just started partying.
Right.
Oh, no. So what were the reasons? What was their environment like? What really made it so that they felt like they had to party so hard that they would start a multi-billion-dollar or the potential foundings of a multi-billion-dollar corporation for their community? It ended up being for other people's community, but
got you.
We'll get into that later.
So the Bronx criminology, this is what we got a lot heavier into. Well, a little, because this is a deep topic actually. But talked about the gang wars, the mafia gang wars and stuff like that, and some of the 5 crime families and people that was out at the time shaking it up.
Yeah, just to introduce to you, I did this part of the book primarily for real, just to let you know that a lot of the terms we think are black terms are actually terms that were rooted in the real first gangsters of America, which were the Europeans.
Somebody think about drive-bys, we think about Bloods,
you think about the West Coast and the Bloods and Crips, but these are the originators of the drive-by, the hitman, the hoodlum. All these terms actually originate in European street.
Yep.
So
again,
history,
for those who have a problem with hip hop coming from gangs, then you need to have a problem with just the whole New York, then the way it was run, because it all comes from gangs.
I mean, this country, a lot of us continue to want to support was started by religious outcasts. People got to realize that England sent over criminals and religious outcasts, and these are the people who started America. You know, y'all gotta remember that though. You know what I'm saying?
Then we talked about this guy, Robert Moses. Very one of my favorite chapters. I like adverse forces anyway in the book. It's a good section of the book. But we talked about this man who built all of the homes and the houses that the people who started hip hop came from, and how that affected hip hop. And again, the fact that if he didn't exist, as much as we might think that adversity is there to stop us from doing something, a lot of times adversity is there to propel you. It's the very seed.
It's the very seed.
It's the very seed.
Thing that this whole chapter is to tell people, when challenges are met, especially the harder they are, actually is your opportunity to really be God on earth. That's when it's your time to be, how am I going to respond to these challenges? And that's why I love hip hop, because hip hop was the response to some of these challenges that we discuss in this adverse
call and
chapter.
response.
Well, that's what it is.
That's right. Come
that's
on.
The way to get
Come
to
on.
It, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, let me hear you say ho. You know what I mean? Then we talked about the origins of the police. Very, very good chapter, because you can't leave this out, y'all. We can't, again, I love you, Phatz, because really, we can't party. We can't party and not look at this for what it is. Come on now, y'all. These started as the slave patrol. So we learned about the slave patrol and how the police got started and why the police were started and why, it would solve a lot of our problems if we just knew the history of this. So we're getting there to almost to where we're at now. We talked about the poisonous public policy of New York that helped to birth, so many different things. The Rand Institute, benign neglect, all of these policies that they came up with.
That's why New York ended up looking like this. I mean, there were over 6,000 abandoned buildings in the Bronx like that.
Right.
Just for the record, just so that y'all get an idea of the environment of the children of the Bronx when they created hip hop.
And think about this too, Phatz. One of the first early songs that had any knowledge of self in it, if not the first song that came out with knowledge of self, is The Message. And the song is about abandoned buildings and the broken glass everywhere. Again, so were it not so when I look at hip hop, especially at that time, I wasn't thinking about nothing about no Daniel Patrick Moynihan and Richard Nixon, but Daniel Patrick Moynihan and Richard Nixon are the reason why the song The Message even exists. Yeah. Because again, if you didn't have a policy like this to strangle off parts of your city, and to strangle them from resources and just basic human amenities, we wouldn't probably have had hip hop. If they had accepted us with this integration, everything would have been different. So it would be nice if we could create these kind of movements without having to struggle first. But it is what it is. White flight, greaser gangs we talked about the Baldies. We talked about certain gangs that were actually made up all of police. It got deep. Frank Lucas and Nicky Barnes. We talked about heroin. We talked about black people's role in the way the streets were. Well,
we will not be in this position if it wasn't for our support of the oppression toward us. So,
That's right. That's right. So we're getting up on it here. So that was the adverse forces chapter. Then we went through Poor Righteous Teachers. So we're getting through it. So then we had to talk about Malcolm X to kick it all off. And the follow up right behind that, we had Clarence 13X, you know what I'm saying? With the spirit of hip hop.
Peace to the gods and earth. Peace to the gods and the earth.
Peace to the gods and the earth.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Standing on our square and everything.
And all that.
Allah, arm, leg, arm, head.
Y'all already know. For those who know, y'all already know.
Y'all know what it is. We talked about the supreme mathematics. I mean, come on, Phatz, you got it in.
Well, no,
all right. We talked about that. We talked about the role, not just in history, but how if you can look in recent times, in modern times, and see the effect. Hell, Busta just dropped his album. He's a big fat 5%er, and to me, his new album represents a return to that that spirit.
Again, this whole spirit of this year, we got a Busta Rhymes album and a Jay Electronica album this year. So Jay Electronica's album, pretty much for real, quiet as kept, kicked the coronavirus off for me. As far as me being a hip hop person in the culture, in the spirit, it was a blessing for his album to come out. And it was really dope. You know what I mean? I like when the NOI and the 5%ers represent us on the mic
too.
Because it's a cultural standpoint that a lot of us in the culture don't even realize is going on.
And some of the greatest MCs come from Islam. I mean, if you look at this brother here, we didn't put him in the book, but Farrakhan, of course, Khalid Muhammad. I mean, some of our greatest speakers and teachers that really, really moved us come out of this religious organization. So again, for those especially black people who have a problem with the NOI, you might want to rethink it. If you love hip hop, it's kind of hard to hate the NOI and still love hip hop because
they're the prodigal mothers and fathers
of
the culture and our mind state and mindset, not the b-boying and all that. The cultural mindset, our beliefs and our social behavior patterns of hip hop. They literally cultivated it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And they're the main influential factor. So when you're looking at this chapter as well, these are influence. Again, in one's history, you have influence, and then the people that actually did
flesh it out.
Building out.
Right.
These are the influential organizations. You say we got NOI, we got the again 5% Nation of Gods and Earths, very influential. And then
so
we moved on to the Black Panther Party and the importance of the physical influence. This was the organization that the children who created hip hop were looking at like tangible. Okay,
action.
That is what they're actually doing in the hood. Again, the television was new at this time, y'all. Television was the internet at that time.
Right.
So with them being able to see, okay, on the West Coast they're going through it, and that's how they solving their problems. All right, y'all, let's back because we're going through the same thing over here. So Black Panther Party is crucial as far as the age. Again, these are college students that started the Black Panther Party. Y'all got to remember the age. Some of the youngest black revolutionary leaders of our time influenced and started hip hop culture, y'all. We take our, when we start hip hop with the elements, y'all, we take ourselves completely out of the heritage aspect. We take ourselves out of the lineage of the UNIA, the Moore Science Temple, the NOI. We need to put hip hop as a culture right there, and we, as the children and descendants of these organizations, metaphysically, metaphorically. You know what I mean?
So you saying say I'm an alien, I land and I ask what hip hop is.
Right.
You starting to say, well, it's DJing and it's b-boying. Not that that's wrong, but by you starting it there, you would be doing hip hop a disservice and really telling that alien just only half of the.
Well, yeah, the celebration part, the most mature, solution-oriented aspect of hip hop, the most communal, the truly communal. I mean, everybody parties at a community, but again, where's the challenge at a party? You know what I mean? So the communal responsibilities. Where's our women?
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a lot that we haven't done correctly, but again, you know what I mean? It's the sun cycle, so we're
working
right
on
along.
it. This book represents that. But again, thank you, Phatz. Thank you though, because it's important, and this is our legacy, and we're letting other people condense it down into just ho ho, and that's cute, but that's not what it is. So again, the lineage of the culture is in this book as well, because you going down the line, Malcolm X, Clarence 13X, then we coming on down the line, some people who are influenced by Malcolm X, Clarence 13X, and the others are right here, the Black Panther Party. They move on to influence the Ghetto Brothers, the Black Spades, and all of that. All right, so here's the breakfast program, you know what I mean, showing them in action. They got their berets, their uniforms. Look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful to me. You know what I mean? So they had survival programs. We talked about how they were invited over to, China, right?
Yes.
And were taught how to do acupuncture and stuff. Before Richard Nixon and them were able to get over there, they were taught first. And they used it in the hood to help cure a lot of the diseases, particularly sickle cell anemia and stuff like that, that affect our people. Post-traumatic
stress. A lot of people were coming back from Vietnam. True. A lot of people were dealing with a lot of issues. That's why China gave it to them, because China knew, Huey P. Newton going over to discuss with them the issues of the Vietnam. We got a lot of vets coming home in bad shape mentally, and so what can you? And he was like, "Oh, here, take this 5 point, go back." And it was an ear acupuncture that the Black Panther Party brought to the United States.
So Mao Zedong was very impressed with the Black Panther Party. Yeah, and it also shows you, once again, here you are in your hood thinking you're doing something that the world doesn't care about, and you look up, and the whole world is watching. So this represents that to me, the international influence of the Panthers, in the different chapters that they had all over the world, show me that our movement is not just for Black people. It influences everybody who wants to see change in the world. So again, we can't underestimate it and let the enemy fully conceive that we're powerful and we don't see it, because all we want to do is rap. All right, so we talked about that. Well, we really went on a journey, Phatz. We talked about my man J. Edgar Hoover. This ugly, retarded, grunt troll looking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So, as far as that, and J. Edgar Hoover being COINTELPRO needed to be discussed for people who feel like hip hop hasn't been attacked or look at it as COINTELPRO is important because the United States government looks at hip hop, depending on especially the artists, a certain way.
Right.
They look at us as a government with a person who has influenced 6 million people, not a person who sold 6 million records. We're looking at the record and say, oh, this person went platinum. The government is like Tupac,
that's right,
who was the son of Assata Shakur, just sold 6 million records.
Not Assata Shakur.
Afeni Shakur. Part cyber, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Afeni Shakur sold 6 million records. So, we got him, and then his homeboy Biggie over there got 3.45 million people on the East Coast riled all up. But what they found, they went like this on some Grinch, the Grinch who stole Christmas stuff, and was like, well, let's put them together and let's put that Willie Lynch back into full effect.
That's right.
And go ahead and let them
destroy West.
And East versus West, let them destroy each other. This COINTELPRO has been in existence, J. Edgar Hoover, ever since the UNIA. Like I said, J. Edgar Hoover has been the whole mission of COINTELPRO is to dead black messiahs and uprisings. That's its whole.
I mean, and he said it. You know, so this is not our opinion. This is concrete history, y'all. And it is a part of hip hop history. I mean, and it has been actively used on us. Yeah. Well, we running out of time, but we almost there. I'm sorry, you about to say something? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Move on.
Yep.
Okay, well, good. So FBI surveillance, blah blah blah. So we write up on it. So we talked about the original. We talked about the Black Panthers, blah blah blah. And now we're going to talk about the actual, remedial coalitions, aka gangs, that officially started and had a hand in starting hip hop directly. Okay. Before we do that, I'm going to display some of these comments because we have quite a few of them. You know what I mean? Let me get y'all up here. Let me see. So,
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Go ahead, take
all right. No, it's good. Let me put. You know what I mean? Oh, Sirwa. So it said peace, Kai. Where's Kai at? Is Kai, you up here? I don't know. If you're still up there, say peace again so I can display your comment. But what's up? Just display everybody while I wait for Phatz. Sirwa. What's up, Marco, the Wizard? What's up, Irodeer? What's up, Queen Mommy? How you doing?
Yeah, I saw Gorilla Will too. What up, G Willie?
Came back to myself, Diddyfield. What's up, Diddy?
Oh, my fault, G Will. That's kind of whack. Gorilla Will, what up, man?
Yeah, Redbird 101.
Tomahawk Jenkins.
Yeah, I mean, Yaya, how you doing? I always like names like Yaya. Let me see. All right, so everybody, who else we got? Let me get down here to the
David Wynn.
David. Hey, what's up,
What
Dave?
up, Dave?
You know what I mean?
Richmond,
Quasi,
RVA in the crib, y'all. You know what it is?
John Johnson. There we go. What's up, Will?
Yeah, I see him. All right, thank y'all very much. Hey, look, check this out before we move forward. I don't know. Right. Can they see this right here?
They can. Hold on. Let me make the screen big right quick for you.
We're going. Before we move forward, this is important. Y'all see this book here?
Let me put it up there.
Yeah, put it up there. All right, that's the FBI War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leaders. This is the most scariest book I've read as far as the things that have taken place against us as a people in America. This is when we talk about COINTELPRO. Whoever John Potish is, big up the brother or whoever wrote this book. He basically, after a while, some of this stuff became public information. And he went down a rabbit hole, y'all, and all of the things. We're talking about, what's the brother who created Kwanzaa? All that's in here. You know, everything's in here, you know what I mean, as far as the people and the organizations that came in and did everything. I mean, Bob Marley's in here, Peter Tosh, assassination attempts on, everybody's in here.
This book is scary bad. Because you know that they're doing this stuff to our leaders, but then when you read it, you're like.
When you got it, and he got the files where everything came from, the whole thing, and I'm like, okay, he actually got this from files. So it's so we need to, we need to work out what it is and realize the power that we have and how our adverse forces look at us, yo. We're very powerful to them. Hip hop is just a scary thing to them, y'all. So
and y'all got to know that.
As we said before, what we just went over was what we had read so far. Those were the things that influenced the negative adverse forces and the influential leaders and groups that influenced the children. Here are the babies that actually started hip hop.
Marco, I think you're talking about J. Edgar Hoover too. You said he was mixed. That would be interesting. I can see that a little bit if that's true. I can see that a little bit.
Very interesting.
But all right, so now let's talk about the Black Spades. This is where we start to get into the actual connection here between the elements and the culture.
We in New York now, y'all. All
right, let's go to New York. Y'all ready? Let's hop in our time machine.
All right, here we go.
All right, you want to kick it off with me?
I got you.
All right.
The first call and response, the Black Spades. In 1957, New York City passed its integration laws, forbidding racial or religious discrimination in private rental housing. This was just another law made by officials that did not go over well in society. Keep in mind that this was a decision made before the Civil Rights Movement, which according to Dick Gregory, benefited whites as well. Some would say that it was the right thing to do, but most Italians and Jews of the Bronx did not favor integration at all. They put their feelings on Front Street through their ways and actions, which spoke much louder than words. It is these instances that gave a sense of purpose and responsibility to the root seed people of hip-hop culture. 1965-ish. Y'all know how hip-hop do. The Bronx in 65 was a beautiful community of Jews, Italians, and Irish. Integration was set to bring hope and opportunities to minorities in the U.S. After 99 years of segregation and open racism, blacks and Latinos were looking to move on up like the Jeffersons, and joined whites in what seemed to be more prominent neighborhoods. Our story begins with 4 black families moving into one of the beautiful town apartment buildings in the South Bronx. These buildings were clean and thoroughly maintained daily. A young black child named Pete was a member of one of these 4 black families in this awesome apartment complex. Life seemed to be getting good for him. At least that's what they thought. Pete had another black friend he would hang with named Sunshine because of his light skin. They were being raised in good homes with well-educated parents that were gainfully employed. Everything sounds lovely, right? Afraid not. Let's not forget about their neighbors and the greasers who were not happy about the rise in black presence in their precious neighborhood. To show their disdain, the greasers would chase Pete, Sunshine, and the rest of the black children to and from school daily, throwing bricks, rocks, Molotov cocktails, and whatever else they could find at them. According to Sunshine, there were times where they were being hunted like dogs by these white teenagers. Niggers, porch monkeys, spear chuckers, and spades were some of the slurs being yelled at them daily while playing outside. Mafia wise guys would give the order to these gangs to terrorize blacks out of their frustration toward integration. There was no avoiding this harassment because at the time, blacks were literally the minority. To meet the integration quota, some buildings housed only 4 to 5 black families as compared to thousands of whites. In an environment like this, one can only imagine the level of racial torment that these children had to endure on a day-to-day basis. I want y'all to remind y'all too, if you remember the Wu-Tang documentary, Inspector Deck, in the interview, they went through the exact same thing in Staten Island. This is 30 years later, where Inspector Deck in the 80s is going through the exact same thing, where they actually they said that, I'm talking about bricks were being thrown at them. We're talking the Wu, y'all.
In New York.
In New York. Young Wu. So we're talking 80s. Same thing. You know what I mean? Moving on. 1967. One day at lunch, after a typical morning of harassment, a black child named Mike, BKA Fat Mike, and some of his friends were discussing how their tolerance and patience for this treatment was growing very thin. The bullying was nonstop, yet the police did nothing. These kids began to realize that they were the only ones that could do something about their current situation. They concluded that the only way to handle this dilemma was to unite and form an organization based on their survival and self-preservation. They called themselves the Savage Seven and the Bronx Rebel Teenagers before finally settling on the name, the Black Spades. The Black Spades began with an original 7 root members. Fat Mike, Michael Wayne, was one of the original 7. Pete and Sunshine were definitely in the first division and may have been in the original 7, but the identities of the others members remain a mystery. They looked at themselves as nothing less than a liberation front. Their ideologies were based upon the influences of 3 people. One was a mystery member from the Nation of Islam, who may have been the main teacher of order and self-defense. The other influences were the teachings of Malcolm X and the concepts, ways, and actions of Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale of the Black Panther Party. The Black Spades come from a long lineage of black organizations who suffered from the same racial hatred that has been expressed throughout American history. They were the children of the disenfranchised, whose message was simple. Integration is not what whites truly want, and we still must do whatever we gotta do to take care of self. You want it, mama?
Sure. Kind of a longer chapter.
Yeah.
All right. The Black Spades, okay, hold on. All right. The Black Spades' original first division lived by a very disciplined regiment. They practiced organized martial arts and military training exercises. This must be where Pete becomes Karate Pete. They did not smoke or drink. The Spades felt this strict lifestyle was best suited for such a racially hostile environment. This was the 60s. People's awareness of racism reached a pinnacle due to the new media machine called the television. Blacks and Latinos could see that they were not alone. This wasn't just local. It was an international issue. Whites were more irate than ever about this new idea of race relations. Women had their issues and complaints. The Vietnam War was a social failure. There was something in the air. There was no time for foolishness. Besides, the Black Spades' parents weren't having it. The early Spades took their colors off before they went in the house. Remember, it was a nice neighborhood, and their parents were now tasked with trying to do what the Romans do. Fat Mike's mother found out he was in the Black Spades by watching the news on one night on TV. The thesis here is that the Black Spades have not been documented in their original flavor. Quiet as kept. The Black Spades was the first the first organized minority street gang in the South Bronx. Before the burning Bronx we all know about, the original Black Spades were just children facing some serious opposition. Yes, they were the largest, most notorious gang in New York, but it didn't start out that way. It began as a unit of security for self and kind in a socially brutal environment.
Yeah, right quick. For those of y'all who ever watched the movie The Warriors, the Riffs, that's who the Riffs were somewhat depicted. You know what I mean? The Black Spades.
We're going to watch The Warriors one night, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That should be a movie review joint, too.
Well, hey, let's do that. Let's do that real soon.
That'd be dope.
All right. Anyway, we had a little meeting in front of y'all. All right.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So, no, you're good. So they were a regime of change and protection for their people. Their first enemies were racist gangs and a system designed for their destruction. It's like the Wild West, baby.
No, the South Bronx was real,
no joke.
People don't it was real, yo.
Historically, the original Black Spades have rarely received the attention or credit they deserve. This may be due in part to the fact that racism gave birth to their organization. I've noticed that the media loves to harp on the gang Gestapo aspect of the Spades movement. The Gestapo were one of the few security sects in the Black Spades. It was orchestrated by a thorough ancestor named Spider of the 10th Division. And I also want to say, too, that what up, Rob L. From Zulu Union, who he knows plenty about the Black Spades. He was like, that was just common anyway. It wasn't just the Spades. A lot of people had Gestapos, and they had elements of their gang that was Gestapo or whatever.
Right. Yeah, they weren't the only group. The Gestapo was a sect in all gangs. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So according to my research, the Gestapo didn't start until 77 or 78. That's 10 years into the Spades' existence, and it was a sect of the organization. The Gestapo are not a positive group of people to be named after, but the whole gang movement based their tough outlaw image on the Hells Angels.
So yeah, all of the gangs, that's why they had cut sleeves in the first place. And
right.
The Hells Angels at that time, y'all, did what they wanted to do. You know, Hells Angels was selling heroin and coke all across the United States. The whole time, of course, ain't nobody stopped them per se. They could do what they wanted to do.
And y'all saw Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy. So this was an image that the young people gravitated towards. You know, Hells Angels, tough. You know, we going through some rough times or whatever. It's real. So they renegades. They don't care. So they took that attitude on. That's why most gangs in New York, if not all, wore cut sleeves.
And then for me, just another side note, cut sleeves are kind of an amazing, because here's these rough dudes with tattoos, smoking cigarettes and shanking each other, but then they would have a person, or sometimes you would do it yourself, but you have a person in the gang whose job it was to make the cut sleeves, and this person is a whole artisan. They're going to thrift stores and they're finding old stuff or finding just old used clothes around the way or whatever, cutting them up. This is a thug, mustached, bearded, tattooed person with a sewing kit out, putting fur and stuff on the collars and
then go back up to the back spade. See like she said, you see the you know what I mean, like the strings on the side. Those were thoroughly designed. This is the first graffiti writing. The first graph writers of New York were the cut sleeves and the gangs that were claiming territory. When y'all played Grand Theft Auto and you got to claim the territory. That's how the graffiti thing kind of, one of the main aspects of it was the gang.
And one of the main roles, and a lot of y'all I know are a certain age, so that means you played the Warriors game by Rockstar, who are the same people that make Grand Theft Auto. The Warriors game is very well made, very well done. I think it really does capture that kind of ominous spirit of New York, the sense of urgency, the sense of it being on fire, and you having to kind of do whatever you got to do to survive. But it's based around the movie, and when you start the movie, Rembrandt, he's named that because he's the artist in the gang. Rembrandt's job, right, is to go around and tag everything, to tag certain territories in foreign spots or whatever, and then they end up getting in fights and blah blah blah. So the artist's job, he had a real role real role. Yeah. So
we'll get into that a little later too.
We sure will. All right. So the tough outlaw image of the Hells Angels. So I'll read this one and you can get back right here.
Gotcha.
All right. So. But if no one is judging the New York City government for their political tactics toward the South Bronx, then no one should be looking at the misguided children of the South Bronx to be moral citizens.
All right.
The Black Spades grew from Bronxdale, Bronx River, and Soundview. Listen to the name of that. Soundview to the other boroughs of New York. They went on to organize divisions in New Jersey and Connecticut. When an organization grows to this magnitude, it's hard to keep the original principles in place. Over time, leadership got younger, and the Bronx was steadily changing for the worse, and with it, their ways and means changed. Yes, they became a violent gang. But if you know anything about the Bronx gang culture that we hear the most about, then you know that it had a political, organized, brotherhood, sisterhood side to it as well. The Black Spades were the street organization prototype for the South Bronx. It has been said that the Black Spades were the largest gang on the East Coast from 1969 to 1974. There were 50 divisions in the Bronx alone.
All right, let's look at this for a minute. The architecture of the apartment complexes of the South Bronx, built by Robert Moses, were designed to accommodate a large amount of people using the least amount of real estate possible. Each building was the equivalent of an average neighborhood or subdivision in terms of population. Let's chart some of the buildings to figure out some numbers. Patterson Projects, 1,788 units, 4,460 people. Bronx River, 1,247 units, 3,025 people. Bronxdale, 1,496 units, 3,497 people.
Wow.
Millbrook Projects, 1,255 units, 3,026 people. Monroe Projects, 1,102 units, 2,858 people. Now, I cannot find the numbers on Soundview houses, but it was 13 seven-story buildings.
Jesus.
Since we are roughly estimating numbers, let's go with 3,000 people as the average number of people living in Soundview at a time. That is 19,866 people.
Wow.
Let's round it up to 20,000 or more people to account for unaccounted roommates, people who are living with people. Y'all know how that go. Y'all know how we do. Roommates residing in the South Bronx around the late 60s and early 70s.
This is probably 30 or 40,000
right,
people.
and let's not forget, people are still moving because there's a migration in New York going on because Robert Moses is building that interstate. He has had to move people from Manhattan to the Bronx and from Brooklyn to get this thing built.
And like Rob said, the census too. This is the census numbers. We all know from modern times. You don't tell the census who all is living in your house for real. So these are big numbers here.
This could be one of the reasons why the Black Spades were the largest gang in New York.
And y'all look at that. You know, these projects look like hospitals.
Yeah.
This is how a hospital would look in a place where I'm from.
Right.
I probably should read this. Oh no, you got it.
I'm good, yeah. The sisterhood counterpart to the Black Spades was called the Aces of Spades.
Hey.
They were no joke. Word is that they got their hands on a serial rapist and took care of business with them. The sisters were side by side with every gang as mothers of children, carriers of weapons, guns, and the support system that men needed to get through such trying times. The Spades were systematic with a set mind state of beliefs and facts that shaped their order. Their morality was in sync with their self-sufficiency. Preserving themselves was the right thing to do. Their efforts of survival are the foundation of how hip-hop not only came into existence, but the very essence of its nature. When all odds were against them, they took it upon themselves to even it up. I get it. Imagine being a victim of racism every day as a child, just trying to live your life. Try living in a building in a neighborhood full of people who hate you, but don't even know you. Try grasping your mind around law enforcement feeling the same way about you. Try witnessing the police helping greasers by taking your weapons and turning their backs in the middle of a street war. There were actually instances, y'all, where when, say, the War Pigs, which is a white gang, would fight the Black Spades. When the police pull up and say the Black Spades was winning, they would take the Black Spades weapons. Let's say the Black Spades like, no problem, we still got these dudes, da-da-da-da. Then they would give weapons to the War Pigs and sit back. And of course, you a Black Spades fighting these War Pigs, you basically waiting on the cops to jump in it.
Right.
You know
so you can't win.
It's like it was a lose. It was really real, y'all. It was really a lot of crazy stuff going on.
You could lose or you could lose.
Right.
Those are your options.
Try having to fight both of them. Picture whites moving out of the neighborhood primarily because you were allowed to move there, all while poisonous public policies are being passed. There is no fairness in judging or looking down upon the actions of the Black Spades or any of the Latino-based organizations that represent early hip-hop history. The conditions they had to live in and endure were intentionally inhumane, to say the least, authored by the very government and municipalities that were supposed to attend to their welfare.
But not neglect.
Maybe the Bronxians weren't the people the New York government were trying to protect when passing their laws. For example, when America's forefathers said all men were created equal. That is exactly what they meant. Neither the Africans nor their women were included in that statement at all. So I ask, would you have obeyed the laws of a lawless New York given these circumstances? What would you have done? The Black Spades were by no means the only organizational street family fighting the system. There were over 100 gangs in the Bronx alone. I give enough respect to all of the gangs that were present during these times. However, if I go through all of them, this will become another book entirely. Besides, there are only a handful of gangs that are continuously noted throughout the documentation and history of hip-hop. These particular gangs made game-changing accomplishments that formed and shaped circumstances for hip-hop to be born. We don't want to stray too far away from the thread of survival and self-sufficiency. The next most important street organization in hip-hop would have to be
the Ghetto Brothers. All right, I thought you were going to say that with me.
No, I'm sorry.
The Ghetto Brothers. Okay, so let's take a little break right here. You know what I mean? So if you are, hold on, I'm doing my spiel premature. I mean, if you just joining in, say peace. We need you to like, comment, and share. Look, we're talking about hip-hop, man, and what hip-hop really is. We're reading my brother Phatz's book that he painstakingly put his energy into. I really enjoyed that chapter. One reason why this book exists is because of the lack of documentation that has been done on behalf of the Black Spades. A lot of times when you are black, if you don't bother to document your own history, no one really bothers to do it for you. I think sometimes documentarians are also scared maybe to even come in your hood and try to document. So you'll find that a lot of times when you go to try to do this research on your own, you're going to find a lot of information about the Ghetto Brothers, who are more Latino and a little more friendly seeming to people on the outside, I think. And you find a lot less documentation when it comes to the Black Spades.
I'm going to be real with you in that, you'll see, we're about to read about the Ghetto Brothers in a second, but when you look through hip-hop history as a historian, that means you look at a lot of the documentation of hip-hop, and you'll notice a pattern, even in our history, where the Ghetto Brothers, and we'll read about it in a minute, I didn't get too much into it in the book, but they had an actual storefront. I think they was in a program with the city. So they had a storefront.
The Ghetto Brothers?
Yes. So they had people, their stories in the Ghetto Brothers story where people are coming down and interviewing them. And I found a lot of pictures of the Ghetto Brothers. I finally hardly any of the Black Spades. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, part of that, again, that's just how that is. But there's patterns in our culture, in our history. The same thing happens at the B-boy movement, where brothers created and started the B-boy movement, right? There were some Latinos in the early part, definitely, but predominantly brothers. It was called the Moreno dance by the Puerto Ricans and Latinos, before they actually got into it or whatever. But it was the Latinos that took B-boying to the rest of the world.
So a lot of times it's people outside of us who will document us, but we won't document ourselves.
Right. But at the same time, though, when people outside document us, they're not going to go to Bronx River.
That's what I was saying. They're probably scared to go there.
Look at the Get Down. Look at the Get Down. Look at how the part when old boy went to go see old girl from Bronx River when she was messing. She was in Africa by them neighborhood. You see how they
were shook.
They depicted Bronx River. You didn't go in Bronx River if you weren't from out there. They had a set of code. The slaves were literally, and the Zulu Nation in the future were like literally the security. It was not. You didn't when you read testimonies and you read through the history of hip hop. Everybody, Black Spades throwing the parties. That's a setup. That's Bronx River. No, I ain't going out there. No, it was like that or whatever. But it's interesting. I say this and we can move on. If the first people who were documented as B-boys were predominantly black, B-boying may or may not be as big as it is. That's a theory of mine.
What do you mean?
Well, the first people who they noticed it was Flashdance. It was Rocksteady.
I know what you mean. As it lightened up. Now the rest of the world notices
it. This is no fault to my Latino brothers at all. This is just how I'm explaining to y'all how the outside people document hip hop. They're not gonna go to Bronx River. They're gonna go to 168 and they're gonna go. They're
gonna feel a little more comfortable going around the Spanish people and stuff like that.
We're gonna get into why they were more publicized. I mean, there were articles. We're gonna get into the first sacrificial lamb. Let's move on. Man.
And the Ghetto Brothers too were musicians, so then they had that as well. They had albums and stuff.
Yeah, they had a
right.
band.
So they just had a whole. So let me do my spiel right quick. So we're doing the Offstage Live book reading part 3. So we're looking to have 4 parts. If we have to have 5, we will. Let me display a couple of these comments right quick. Somebody said the Ghetto Brothers made dope music too. That's right.
Yes,
so there we go. That's right.
Yes. They were a band, y'all. Yep.
Appreciate you too. Thank you, Redbird. We like you've been at everyone, and we appreciate that. You know what I mean? Made by Bone from the Training Day movie. I didn't show that in real time, so I don't know what you.
Word.
Bastards of the Party is amazing.
Yes.
A lot of Phatz's research came from Bastards of the Party. So
well,
we definitely...
especially on my, I'm doing a little, on the slide, I think I'm going to do West Coast next. Bastards of the Party is definitely a source of that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thanks for having y'all. You know what I'm saying? We're going over Phatz's book. So we're going to get back into it. We just ask that you comment, like, and share and all of that stuff. And really follow us on the various platforms.
Outlaw Culture, you know it will.
You know what I mean? Let's go.
Sir. Yes,
all right. So to the Ghetto Brothers. The ghetto.
Oh, before
I
go further, why this is on my mind, my boy, brother Gorilla Will, they also have him and my man X, Zulu Union Stand Up, all the Soda Flare natives. They have a podcast called Thread Count.
Yes.
It's about all history of dance, present, past, or whatever, as far as hip hop, what's going on in it now. For those of y'all that want to keep up with any aspect of dance, house, popping and locking, b-boying, Gorilla Will is literally the host. He can host you through that whole element per se, whatever. But him and X, big up. Y'all check that out. You know what I'm saying? Thread Count when you get the chance. All right.
So let me slide this over here.
You got it, Mo? You want me to keep moving?
Well, I think it's my turn.
Let's go.
So the Ghetto Brothers stand up. The Ghetto Brothers, the GBs, were the imperial force of the Latinos in the Bronx. Second only to the Black Spades in size, the GBs were another serious order you didn't want to deal with. They began as a brotherhood. Their story is a very interesting one, in the sense that, as a street gang, there are actually tactics of peace in their saga. The GBs formed in 1968 on 162nd and Westchester. The nucleus consisted of 3 brothers, Benji, Victor, and Robin Melendez. In time, their membership would spread through the boroughs and other cities. The presidents of the GBs were none other than the legends, Yellow Benji and Karate Charlie. and rest in peace.
Yep.
Rise in power. No, the minority gangs fulfilled Dr. Martin Luther King's dream of equality among the races. What I mean by that is that many minority gangs in the Bronx were generally populated by Black, Latino, and white people. Yes, whites were present in the hip-hop gangs culture as well. Yes, even in the Black Spades. But of course, they were dominated by the minority forces of Black and Latino. All right. Their philosophy was very crucial to the birth of hip-hop as a musical expression in the streets of the Bronx. The Bronx gangs were noted as the illest of all New York gangs because of their unique and brutal environment. Their gang life of organized street familia was all they had. They took their territories and violent maintenance of their borders very seriously. All of the gangs had to know how to fight, and fight well to survive. However, it seems that the GBs had a certain respect from other gangs, not just because of their size, but because of their methods of street politics. They were responsible for the spawning of a couple of the Bronx's most notorious gangs, the Roman Kings, Savage Nomads, Savage Skulls, and the Seven Immortals, where Russell Simmons was a warlord. Were all influenced and rooted by the GB order. The Young Lords and the Black Panthers would come through the South Bronx, encouraging gangs to take more responsibility for ownership of their hoods instead of destroying them. They also tried to show the gangs that it was more empowering and intelligent to unite against their true enemy, New York City's policies and the police, instead of each other, which separated them into many divided entities. 1970 and 71 were some of the most violent times in the South Bronx. Most of the gangs were not entertaining peace or unity with any other gangs. It was a bloody war. However, the GBs listened to the enlightened elders. They inducted the politics of peace into their philosophy in the midst of this unnecessary bloodshed. Listen to you with these big words. Hey, y'all, I do voiceovers for a living. If you ever want to have somebody read your joint in a nice, sexy voice, hit me up. I'll do Yellow Benji. Okay, yeah, and you do the Sacrificial Lamb. So here's now something notable about their cut sleeve. All right, so see, they got the skull up there and stuff, and then number 13. But what is that in the middle of this? These are garbage cans. These are garbage cans, y'all. They got garbage cans on their cut sleeve. Why? Because they used to clean up their hood.
Yeah, and it was depicting the garbage cans represent, from my research, just the
state that they were living in.
The state they were living in, the Bronx. That's kind of their depiction of the South Bronx, the Ghetto Brothers, and that's what they were dealing with. You know
Your speech is proper. While my speech is from a garbage can.
You know what I'm saying?
Yellow Benji made a major.
I like that.
You like that?
I like that.
Yellow Benji made a major power move based on this new philosophy. He watched Black Benji, an ex-junkie, tell a story that moved children during a mentoring session. Yellow Benji was impressed by Cornell Benjamin, Black Benji's way of shining positive energy on people. This encouraged him to make a critical adjustment to his concrete street policy. There were 3 positions that every street organization universally possessed. They had a president, who was an extremely skilled fighter that showed charisma, brotherhood, and leadership worthy of following. The vice president was there to take the president's place if he was to go down in battle, and the warlord, who had a very important responsibility. Traditionally, the warlords of each gang would meet during conflict to discuss terms. They would first discuss if there was going to be a war. If so, they would weigh the terms of the war. Warlords determined whether there was going to be hand-to-hand combat, knives, various weapons, or guns. Yellow Benji dismissed their position of the warlord and gave Black Benji the newfound position of the ambassador of peace. Let me read that again. Yellow Benji dismissed their position of the warlord and gave Black Benji the newfound position of ambassador of peace. The GBs took the message of unity of the Black Panther Party and the Young Lords seriously. And y'all, Phatz is not just saying that. If you watch any of these documentaries, you'll hear Yellow Benji saying out of his mouth that the Black Panthers are the ones who came and talked to them and taught them, hey man, turn your guns outward and not inward.
Early in the book, we mentioned that Joseph, the actual brother.
Yeah, that's right. You did. We did mention that his
Joseph
actual name.
Muatamini of the Black Panther Party was the actual brother, and I found that out in the Ghetto Brothers, a graphic novel.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So,
okay,
yeah.
All right, yeah. So that's the brother. So yeah, they definitely came, and there's footage of him saying this as well. So this is not us trying to make this about the Black Panther Party.
He gave them the simple message of, okay, why y'all fighting each other if it's the police and the policies? That's all of y'all enemies. Y'all have a common enemy. All of you gangs, y'all need to. I mean, I ain't gonna French the same message.
It's the same message.
Trying to teach everybody now.
So again, this is why this book is important, because you're talking about something that is remedial for today's times. All right. So they took it seriously. They began to promote. They began making it a purpose to promote peace in the streets and turn the negative aggression in the correct direction. Only an organization with clout could go around the South Bronx attempting to promote peace. Yellow Benji had a political swag that enabled the GBs to move into other circles and negotiate. Some say that as the government infiltrated the BPP from 1968 to 70, the Young Lords directed their attention to their homeland of Puerto Rico. The Ghetto Brothers filled that void. Okay, hold on. Let me. I skipped and. It's funny how and conjunction, it made the whole sentence weird. All right. What's your function? Some say that as the government infiltrated the BPP from 1968 to 1970, and the Young Lords directed their attention to their homeland of Puerto Rico, the Ghetto Brothers filled that void of an awareness through unity. The sacrificial lamb.
Sacrificial lamb. On December 2nd, this is the manifest destiny. I think I mentioned that, but this is the event, y'all. This is how the elements kind of came in.
This is the shot heard around the world.
On December 2nd, 1971, an event took place that would change the Bronx forever. The GB's mission of peace wasn't getting through to the gangsters. Words of war were brewing in the streets. There was a beefing between a couple of gangs, and Yellow Benji sent Black Benji, the ambassador of peace, and a couple of GBs to establish peace between these particular warlords. By the time the GBs arrived, things were starting to get out of hand. Black Benji raised his hands and said, "Yo, brothers, we came to talk peace." According to documentation, someone cries out, "Peace shit," and the rumble ensued. Black Benji was killed in the mayhem. This event sent shockwaves through the entire city of New York. Knowing that Black Benji was about peace and was still killed infuriated the gangs. The streets cried out through intense anger and senseless violence. President Karate Charlie was preparing the GBs for revenge. It was about to get real ugly.
Now y'all see this. The Phatz has this book in there, but this book is really great. It was put together by the Ghetto Brothers, and it really tells the story in depth, and it's very well drawn.
Someone came and got him. I can't remember the people. I would run and go get the book. We'll show you all this literature.
Yeah, somebody came and got him and interviewed him and made sure that
my references. At the end of this, the next one, I'll break up the books.
Break out the books. That's smart. That's smart. And next time, y'all, we're gonna get reading kind of right away, so that way we can fill in the whole book and answer any questions and stuff you may have. So we rounding it up with this.
The GBs had a storefront on 174th where the partnering gangs and the media were all there waiting for the Ghetto Brothers to declare war. However, their words were, we are going to do nothing. We have to figure out another way of resolving this crisis. As soon as he said that, the media stopped writing and shut their cameras off. The media wanted a street war that they could film. There was supposed to be barbarians shedding rivers of senseless blood in the streets. Instead, they witnessed some very intelligent young men make a righteous decision. This decision can be looked at as hip-hop's manifest destiny. Even after the death of Black Benji, Yellow Benji was still dead set on the mission for peace. Meanwhile, Karate Charlie summoned all the GBs for war. And as far as he was concerned, no one was safe. The one thing that changed his mind was a visit to Gwendolyn Cornell, Black Benji's mother's house. It was her wisdom that reminded Karate Charlie of Black Benji's purpose in the first place. Peace. She didn't want there to be any more bloodshed in her son's name, especially since he died for peace. Her wise words led to a powerful choice that paved the way for the existence of hip-hop as we know it.
Do you want to get through the gang treaty and end it there?
Yeah, we got. Now, I would like to end this chapter, but
let me see. We have to go through the Young Lords. Okay, well that's fine.
Young Lords party's not really that long, and then the women.
Okay, let's do that. We're just gonna go over a little bit.
Okay. Well, we might have to stop you because I forgot about the last poets, and there's a part about women too. There's a whole chapter about a little.
No, I just rolled down. I'm just saying, if you want to do that, we can, but we'll just have to go over just a bit. If you want to, we can. If not,
we go over a little bit.
Okay.
I think so. We good. I think people, a little bit.
Okay.
We'll go over a little bit. The Bronx Peace Treaty of 1971.
Oh, that's me.
Okay.
Is it? It's me, right?
Whatever's clever. Let's do it.
The Ghetto Brothers. Okay, the Bronx Peace Treaty of 1971. The Ghetto Brothers regrouped and organized a peace treaty on December 8th, 1971. So, hold on. He was shot when? He was stabbed when?
December 2nd.
So, December 2nd. So, y'all, 6 days later, they had organized the whole gang peace treaty. All right? Notable. On December 8th, 1971, they invited the leadership of every organized gang they could to contact the Boys Club on 1665th Hoe Avenue after all of the representatives were able to air out their own personal beefs and neighborhood concerns. Peace was agreed upon and a gang truce was established. The Bronx Peace Treaty of 1971 was signed and a spiritual weight was lifted off the shoulders of the South Bronx. This by no means squashed every beef in the Bronx, but there was a mutual agreement to maintain a peace as a majority rule. It was a social sigh of relief. These gangs gave themselves a sense of hope that they were never going to get from the New York City government. The peace treaty was a major catalyst in breaking territorial barriers. Block parties and basement parties containing colors from many sets began partying together and having fun. This camaraderie ushered in the next phase of youth development through self-sufficiency, the forefront of the elements. The peace meeting of gangs at the Boys and Girls Club was for show and for the public. Black Benji's death and its pain still wasn't resolved, along with many other ongoing wars and beefs. So a second meeting without the media was held at the Ghetto Brothers Clubhouse, where confessions and a true understanding of no retaliation was overstood. Days after the peace treaty, the police...
Check this out.
Days after the peace treaty, the police started the New York PD Bronx Youth Gang Task Force and started arresting gang leaders. A faux gang that the police put together of ex-Marines were called the Purple Mothers. They were openly attacking and killing real gang members without the Ghetto Brothers doing the right thing. We may very well not have a hip-hop to speak of, let alone defend. It just goes to show how crucial a decision can be. It is the choices we make that determine what the future holds. Do not ever again mention how hip-hop came to be without mentioning or at least thinking about the Ghetto Brothers. Salute. Go ahead.
The Young Lords Party. The Young Lords Party started as a gang in the streets of Chicago around 1968. They represent the children of the first Puerto Rican migrants to the United States. After becoming heavily influenced by the ways of the Black Panther Party, the Young Lords became a political organization fighting for the freedom, justice, and equality of all Puerto Ricans in America who migrated to the United States. Their creator, Jose Cha-Cha Jimenez, saw a need to fight for more than just turf in the unjust streets of Chicago. They began to provide for the needs of Puerto Ricans in terms of housing, health care, child care, and education, to name a few. The New York chapter of the Young Lords got established in July of 1969. Minerva Sola, Mickey Mendez, and Luis Garden Acosta got it going, along with Felipe Luciano, the co-chairman and co-founder. This was the same Felipe Luciano of the original Last Poets.
Come on.
The Young Lords deserve honorable mention because of their response to the harmful policies inflicted on them in the Bronx. Let's not forget the effects of planned shrinkage on the South Bronx. There were piles and piles and piles of garbage left around everywhere due to the lack of the city's sanitation service. Check out what the Young Lords did. They bagged up a whole bunch of garbage and threw it on 3rd Street, blocking traffic. Lighter fluid and matches suddenly fell from the sky, and garbage was set on fire. The city had no choice but to come collect the garbage. That's what I'm talking about. There was a Methodist church called First Manus that refused to help the community with breakfast programs for children, free health, and legal clinics. During testimony in their church, a co-chairman of the Young Lords stood up to express their plight. He got set up by the church and had to fight the police. In December 1969, the Lords forcefully occupied First Manus and started their programs anyway. I'm going to keep coming anyway. 11 days later, the police raided and arrested 106 people. In 1970, the Lords conducted TB tests for over 800 people. 1/3 of them tested positive.
COVID.
The Young Lords Defense Ministry took an x-ray truck. They x-rayed over 150 people that day. They also took over a hospital to get prescription drugs for people in the hood that could not afford them. The Savage Nomads and Savage Skulls would be their line of defense against the police. These were just a few of the actions taken by various so-called street gangs to aid their community when the powers that be would not. What would you have done?
So look at their logo. Ugh,
oh, you got to love it. Oh, Young Lords Party. They definitely. I'm sorry.
The whole time we talking about the Young Lords, I had Ghetto Brothers up. Boom. There we go. I'm not too late. There we go.
Now, I ain't going to front. It's all Latino Puerto Ricans. With all the Ghetto Brothers and the Young Lords Party literally represent the Puerto Rican movements. The front. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So, let's hit these last poets and then we can call it.
I will leave the notable women for next time.
Yep. That's
all right.
Good. Yep.
So the Young Lords. So this was, you know, the original Last Poets really influenced me, and I was really pleased to see that Felipe Luciano was the same guy. You know,
I mean, to find that out, that's really a dope fact to find out that you have what you call a so-called gang in the Young Lords Party. Again, Young Lords Party, Black Panther Party. They weren't thinking gang, y'all. They were thinking politically.
Politics.
You know what I mean? So,
but guerrilla.
The way we need
the way we need
the way the hood needed
the way we need it.
Exactly.
The
you
way
know
it's
just like we were discussing earlier about how the Black Panthers had a guerrilla style of healthcare. They would come into the people door. Y'all need this penicillin, how y'all looking in here, or y'all need that sickle cell, or who need that acupuncture, we'll be here tomorrow. Like that. You know what I mean? And so
right.
that's how that was the way it was needed or whatever. But yeah, for you to find out that the co-chairman of the New York chapter of the Young Lords Party was also in here doing poetry.
Right. Especially since people consider the Last Poets to be some of the first MCs in hip hop.
And we'll get into that.
You know what I mean? So that the Young Lords Party ties into hip hop in more than one way. And it's not just the elemental way. And that's what I like about it. All right. So the Last Poets, the disenfranchised people.
Hey man, thank everybody for sticking with us, yo. Love y'all, man. Crumb TV.
Yeah, we about to round it up here in just a few minutes. So any questions you got, anything you want to say real quick, you got about 10 minutes with us, and then we're going to adjourn it. All right? So the disenfranchised people of the world often go unheard. There are usually so many of them, it can be hard to get their plight across to others who even care to listen. What's more important is that these people need to know how and why they don't have everything they need to survive and what they need to do to get it. There are always a few select people within the disenfranchised who naturally take on the responsibility of becoming aware and having to share this awareness with their people, like us. The term power to the people is defined through the selfless act of getting information to your community that they need but do not have the wisdom or the resources to receive it. Some of the elders of hip-hop culture say that this power to the people concept should be the beacon of anyone who stands behind the microphone with words for the people. Come on. They say this because of the poems of the Last Poets. The Last Poets are the only group that can come close to representing the element of the hip-hop MC in the prehistoric era of hip-hop's history. They have been noted as the rappers of the civil rights era. Yes, hip-hop's primary vocal expression was conceptualized through the Last Poets. Hip-hop's primary vocal expression was conceptualized through the Last Poets' way with words. They left no stone unturned in terms of the plight of the black and brown in America. They made you pick or realize what side of the fence you were on in the demand for justice. Come on, they put that shit right in your face.
Yeah, oh no, you either over here
or you over there. So that's Felipe. This is Felipe Luciano right there. You know what I'm saying? So
Felipe.
I say he got that poem. They be like, here, but my pretty nigga, man. So and again, he I want you to know, look at his fro and look at him. If you saw him, wouldn't you think that was a show enough brother?
He look like old boy from a different world.
Well, I know you talking about the one
homeboy.
Yeah.
I mean, we all. That's why we need to get over that in our culture and history as hip hop. When you put a Latino and a black together, or Cuban or somebody and walk up the street, especially you won't know the difference.
You won't know the difference, man.
And don't be at the party and have a couple of drinks.
Right. You don't know the difference between no Latinos.
For real.
Yeah, the fact that we even say black and brown is funny to me because we brown and they black. Like, so what we even talking about?
Right.
Some of these Latinos got way more Nadia hair and darker skin than me. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But so it is what it is. So there he is. So what must be noted is that their science of protest poetry was the order of the day. They sparked an awakening and a need to act. There was no time to party or rap about partying. The Black Spades, the Ghetto Brothers, and the Young Lords Party are all starting around this same time in 1967 through 1970. The last poets started in Mount Morris Park, Marcus Garvey Park today, on the anniversary of Malcolm X's birthday, May 19th. Wow, which is when this book dropped. Thank you very much. 2020. But Malcolm X's birthday, May 19th, 1968, not 2 months after the assassination of 1968. Mm-hmm. There's no way he was born in 1968. I think this is a typo that we have here.
No, it's not the anniversary of Malcolm X's birthday.
Gotcha.
The anniversary.
Thank you. The anniversary is what man. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Sorry, brother. Not 2 months after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, it was started by poets David Nelson, Abidun Ayewale, Guyland Kane, and a drummer. As time went on, Felipe Luciano, the Young Lords Party, Umar bin Hassan, Suleiman El Hadi, and Jalal Nuruddin added on to assist in getting the creatively conscious word out. The fire and frustrations of the New York street society gave power and purpose to the poetry of the last poets. All of their leaders were assassinated, and New York was showing her ass to the people. And New York was showing her ass to the people. The news and their everyday walk provided enough lyrical content to paint the ugly pictures the world was painting.
The news, not their news.
Okay, thank you. The news and their everyday walk provided enough lyrical content to paint the ugly pictures the world was painting. The last poets and their words became the first internet of social injustice and social outrage. You really put your foot in this right up, sir. You welcome.
No, I really love the last poets. This was important to me.
Yeah, this was
how
dope.
It was expressed and how that was really important to me. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
But yeah, I'm gonna show you my All right. The farther back you go in hip-hop eldership dialogue, the more you hear how the last poets were the people's choice to represent them as MCs. Come on, Phatz. They were the prototype of the rhyme and the drum. They gave guidance to rap, MCing, and spoken word as we know it today. The energy and motion, the sincere and angry tone of their delivery, the seriousness of the situation. If you want to know the hip-hop MC's true intention, listen to some early last poets when you get the chance. They will be the first to let you know that hip-hop did not start out to entertain anyone. Hip-hop's first words were designed to give power to the people. Yeah. All right, you guys. So that rounds it up for this reading today. Here, hold that. That rounds it up for this reading today. We are so glad and gracious to have you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's put it back. Throw it back. Let me bring this over here. So check us out again next Tuesday for what we think will be the final installment. If it's not, there'll be one more to round it up. But I think we're going to try to make it all in next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time at the same bat time, the same bat channel and all that stuff, 7 p.m. where we will do part 4 of the offstage reading. You guys can get this book at SOULTRUSTRECORDS.com. If you feel like, hey, I don't want to get the book, I don't know why you wouldn't. But if you didn't, how about you just donate us anything? $5, $10, $100 million to Cash App Soul Trust Records. You know what I mean? $ Soul Trust Records. Anything you want to say, Daddy? Let me get some of these comments on that.
I just want to pick up the comments. I just really want to thank the people. This means a lot to us. You know what I mean? BWOE TV, very fresh. Appreciate you. Marco, thank you. Dennis D. I just want to get a shout out to the people then.
Yeah.
And thank y'all. This is very important. Take this information. I pray you do support and buy the book. We're gonna have the hard copies here, in a little bit. But just for the information for the babies. You know what I'm saying? So,
Jeet Kune Do is also my favorite. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? So, I just want everybody to just take this information in for what it really is and know that this isn't just some egotistical, I know the history, We're adding on. And we're looking to put hip hop in the future in a position where we leave a legacy for the children. Hip hop doesn't have a legacy. We don't have anything. You know what I'm saying? We don't have anything for our children, but folklore. Who's the greatest MC of all time? Da 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 da, et cetera, et cetera. All these beefs and all these conflicts or whatever. You know what I mean? And all this confusion. Are we misogynistic? Are we gods? What are we doing?
What are we doing
What's
here?
going on? You know what I mean? As a people or whatever. So we need to dead all that and really look at what hip hop really needs to look like off stage. With that said, though, you know.
So, hey, K. Croftis, I didn't know this was you, Miss Kai. I didn't know it was you. I always assumed this was a dude because I am a sexist. I always thought this was a dude. I did not know it was you. So what's up, Kai? That's why you be Johnny on the spot, because you my boo like that. Kai. Poetry is freedom. She's a great poet. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Kai, if you haven't checked out, you know what I mean, the last Poet's Poetry, you need to go and check that out. Because you are from that very spirit.
In fact, we may even rock something for y'all. Bring it in next week.
We'll actually let you hear a little something. All right, so hey, look, somebody said keep it professional. I guess when I was talking about giving you a little live kiss and a massage in front of everybody. Keep professional. Yes. Phatz be laughing at me because I'm always trying to make out in front of you guys, but I'm not going to do it. I ain't going to make y'all uncomfortable. All right?
Thank you, brother. So, thank you. I saw like a Moore right there. I saw Bay at the back of that name.
Yeah, you know I mean? He said, "Thank you, brother." Like you're civil. You're civil. You know what I mean? So comment, like, and share. You can follow us at Culture Chronicles, Each Nine Teach Nine, of course, Crumb TV. This has been the Offstage live book reading. You can check everything out that we do at SOULTRUSTRECORDS.com. We love you guys. We'll check you on the next go round. Anything else you want to say, my brother?
No. Thanks for sticking with us, yo. Again, on behalf of Soul Trust Records, Crumb TV, Culture Chronicles, Each Nine Teach Nine. Let's get these babies right, y'all. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Right quick. I make jewelry. Look at that. Bow. That's an amethyst with some carnelian. It's very heavy, chunky. It's about
I do have one more thing to say.
Bow. It's huge.
I would recommend it anyway. Go easy on that vaccination. Do more research on that.
Hold on, man. Let me do my jewelry spiel. I'm trying to look at them. COVID ain't got shit. If y'all get this, you ain't got to get vaccinated. Look at that. Y'all don't quote me on that. Don't be like, no, said I didn't have to get vaccinated. You know what I mean? We got some stuff for you. I got some stuff for you right here. You know what I mean? I even got arrowheads. You want to stab a nigga? You know what I mean? We can do that. We can do that. Anyway, you know what I mean? Pull your jewelry up, Phatz. You know what I mean? Let them know. Let them know what you're doing. You know what I mean? We in there. No, make jewelry. I made all this. We can do this. We can talk. Hit me up in my inbox. All right? So get that book. We'll check you on the next go round. All right? We love you.
Peace. Thanks again, y'all. One love.
Crumb
TV.